This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the CastSource Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. We cover many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment, featuring podcasts such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian Podcast. The Buffalo Bills take on the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. We'll recap our picks from last week and pick some more games for this week. All of this and more on the Buffalonian Podcast, it's Betting on the Bills. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast, Betting on the Bills. I'm Joe Cali, and today I'm joined by Dom Loss, and exclusively Dom Loss.
Dom Loss in a chair that's empty.
Yes, an empty chair. So it's another two-man pod for you, and we're going to get right into it and preview Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites on the road. 3 in some markets, you said?
3 in some markets. They opened up at about, I think, some markets they opened up as a pick'em, and then some markets they opened up actually as a point and a half favorite, and then obviously it's been bet up to, the 2.5 point spread as we currently see, and sometimes as you allude to a 3 point spread. So
yeah,
the Bills getting a lot of respect right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you can't help but think is Vegas trying to tell you to bet the Chiefs by the line shifting on the Bills.
Well, it's the first time. I believe this is Mahomes' 41st game started at Arrowhead coming up, or 42nd. This is the first time he's going to be an underdog.
I think they're expecting the Bills to do something big here, but also telling you to bet the Chiefs. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's the definition of if we weren't a betting podcast around the Bills, would just kind of be a stay away and just kind of enjoy the game.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put any money on this.
But it's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, it's the rematch of the game of the year last year.
Game of the NFL for the past decade, I would want to say.
Decade, maybe even its history. So
yeah.
It's definitely has a lot of high expectations. It's going to be a national broadcast game. As we said, in the podcast a couple months ago when the schedule dropped, this is like the Brady Manning slot of CBS gets to protect one game a year, and they protected this game. Obviously, some fans online were complaining about why this wasn't a primetime game, and well, that's
CBS
your answer.
Grabbed it.
CBS was like, "Yeah, we'll take." I thought about last year when it was Bills Chiefs in the divisional round. I was like, "Oh, CBS took that game." I thought like NBC would try to take that or whatever, and Nance and Rim were going to be then. I thought, well, why wouldn't they take it? It's arguably the two best quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and we'll get into that in a minute. But
right,
it's an exciting but nerve-wracking week. But again, this is the third straight year where they play the Chiefs rather early in the regular season.
In Arrowhead.
Second straight year they played them in Arrowhead because the 2020 year they played them in Buffalo technically, but that was no crowd.
No, and wasn't Mahomes not even playing?
No, Mahomes was playing.
Was he?
Nope, Mahomes' Allen first matchup was in front of no fans.
How bad was it? I forget. Did we lose?
Yeah, they did lose. It was 26-7. Mahomes is 3-1 against Allen. Mahomes won 26. They won. The Chiefs won. I shouldn't say Mahomes.
I think I just blocked that game out of my head because I just could not remember.
Well,
the
Chiefs won 26-17. It was one of those really bad weather games. Neither of them threw really impressively. It was the week after that really weird COVID week of the Titans. I can't for the life of me remember. I think that was supposed to be Thursday Night Football. I think that was right around the time when the Titans game screwed everything up, and wasn't it? I mean, it was somewhere.
Yeah,
close to it was something where the lines of I think the Titans game got moved to like Tuesday, and that Chiefs game was a Monday nighter, but it was supposed to be Thursday Night Football. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And with all the COVID stuff that was happening with the Titans, that game had to be pushed back. So it was definitely a weird stretch for the Bills in 2020. Obviously, their two playoff matchups have unfortunately gone the Chiefs' way. The last regular season matchup, though, in Arrowhead, did go the Bills' way, 38-20 last year. So, we'll see if that happens again. But
hoping
a player that played in that game that hasn't played, in
a long time,
nearly a year
since Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Thanksgiving. Tre'Davious White returned to practice today, so this starts his
21 days.
21 days. I thought the rules were in the CBA that if they don't activate him to the 53-man roster in 21 days, he's on season-ending IR. Sal Capaccio did a tweet where they can not activate him for 21 days, and he'll go on like the short-term IR of 4 games and can get brought back. Obviously, I don't think that will happen, but I don't know if that's. I gotta look.
He's had enough time off. I think he'll get right back into it.
Well, I think it was smart for the Bills to activate him midweek this week, even though he's not playing, because I think they want, him to have some practice time, see how the knee responds going to the bye week, and then you think you have the bye week and then the Sunday Night Football game against the Packers, so you have 2 back-to-back full weeks of practice that he doesn't have to play a game in, that he could just work.
Right.
And if the knee has like a not bad reaction, but if the knee like takes more time,
it's a little more tender than they thought. Needs more time to adjust back to it. And
I think realistically, you'd say Benford would probably be back for that Packer game, so you'd have your 4 healthy corners, and then even Trey, as great as he is, you might consider kind of doing a rotation a little bit until the first couple of games to get him acclimated to the game setting, and then
bring him back in full force,
kind of like OBJ a little bit.
Yeah,
have the last,
and that's still someone the Bills are quote unquote eyeing up.
Well, they should be.
And he's eyeing us up more than we're eyeing him up, I would say.
I think it's a little bit of both ways.
You think?
I think.
What about CMC?
We talked about this on the betting.
Yeah, we talked about it. Well, yesterday when we filmed.
It's what you would like to give up. I think CMC. If you take, I think.
You would have to give up James Cook because it's like the same type.
I think if I was the Bills, I would
preferably
like to go after OBJ.
Yeah,
just because OBJ won't cost me any long-term assets.
No, like James Cook, developmental long-term asset, you're gonna lose him
plus draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
OBJ might cost more like money-wise this season.
Right, but also you can get him on a super short, like 6-month contract that's incentive-based.
Well, but I mean? It's still like a win. I mean, I know you're
Give
saying.
him his Bitcoin contract like last year. It's worth nothing now. So, I mean, he won a Super Bowl for pretty much nothing.
But he would probably be someone, I think OBJ would be someone I would target more than CMC just because, I mean, having another wide receiver I think is going to be incredibly beneficial when you have especially
if someone, God forbid, goes down at some point.
Well, especially you already saw what happened with Gabe Davis. Like, OBJ could be a deep threat. Like, if Davis somehow goes down again, like you have OBJ, then they could assume that take that role over.
Right, or even Diggs, if God forbid something happens to him. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm not going to
speak that into existence.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention that one. But so it's great to see Trey White returning. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with this OBJ thing as well.
Yeah.
At the time, so I want to talk about the injuries in a little bit, but I just want to focus on who do you think needs this game more. And I think it's an interesting question.
I think it is too, because both teams have the same record right now, 4-1, and honestly,
and whoever wins will be the 1 seed in the AFC. There will be no other AFC teams that are undefeated or have 1 loss other than the team that wins.
I want the Bills.
Well, I guess like a tie
to take this game for home field advantage in the playoffs.
But you think the Bills need this more than the Chiefs?
Yes,
I would disagree. I think the Chiefs need this more than the Bills.
So you think they're playing for more than the Bills are right now?
I think it's hard to describe.
I don't want to play a divisional or AFC championship round in Arrowhead again. No. If I were the Bills,
but obviously you want to be home field advantage. Obviously that's the point for both teams. Obviously there's some aspect of the Bills need revenge, but they haven't really talked about wanting revenge this new year. But
Josh Allen in an interview said, "I forgot I'm playing the Chiefs next."
I don't believe. I don't 100% believe that. It's also, but the Chiefs also want some validation because they're home team underdogs. They're home team underdogs. Like,
yeah,
they want some validation that way. I think the Chiefs need this more than the Bills, though, because if the Bills win, the Bills have
Tyreek's gone, so that's what happened to your offense.
Well, if the Bills win, the Bills have a 68% chance of being the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs, I think have like a 6 or 9% chance, which is 3rd best in the AFC. I think the Ravens would have the 2nd best odds. If the Chiefs win, the Bills fall to 30% and the Chiefs have 35%. So you see how even if the Bills lose,
we could still do it.
They have the 2nd best odds behind the Chiefs, and they have the tiebreaker, but they still have a better opportunity to.
But if they win, they hit 65. You're saying
68. If they win, they pretty much, as long as they don't screw the pooch, are gonna probably have the 1 seed.
Yeah,
now you could say that's why the Bills need it more. But at the same time, if the Chiefs lose, they pretty much have a very little % chance of getting the 1 seed. But if the Bills lose, they still have a pretty decent chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying now. I didn't know that stat. That's very interesting.
That was from Football Outsiders.
Football Outsiders. Yeah, that's interesting. I had no idea that Bills still like would be in it for that.
Because of their schedule is a lot easier than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Looking at it. So.
And it's just I'm thinking of it more in terms of putting that game, the divisional game, behind us.
I would say it as the Chiefs as a team need it more than the Bills, but Bills fans need it more than Chiefs fans.
Right,
that makes
exactly.
sense?
Yeah, no, that makes 100% sense because you got to think about
it. If the Chiefs win, then Allen is 4-1 against. Mahomes is 4-1 against Allen, and then those Chiefs fans really start getting loud, and that's gonna make the Bills fans mad. Twitter will be a war zone, no man's land until we meet them in the playoffs again. Again, this is a preview to a bigger game, and it's important for either of these teams to obviously win, but it's important for their long-term future because they want. I mean, I think both these teams feel like they're on a collision course against each other as long as they stay healthy and nothing goes awry.
Yeah,
they want to be at home. You saw the impact Arrowhead had on Monday night against the Raiders. If that game was in Las Vegas,
they would have won.
Vegas would have won.
And then you got Devontae Adams pushing cameramen over, getting charged, like possible 180 days in jail, like for that.
That's
you know
insane.
what I mean?
Like, that's insane. But
yeah.
So I have now. We circled the team aspect.
You want to get down and gritty with Mahomes and Allen.
I want to get down. I like that. Down and gritty. I had to. So there's two statements that are just, I think, a complete fact. One is Mahomes and Allen are the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, and everyone else.
There's no question about it.
And everyone else is competing for.
Someone just said Brady and Rodgers are still above Allen.
No.
I could not believe that. Brady is a worse QBR than Geno Smith right now. Like, let's just be honest.
Geno's playing pretty well though.
Geno is playing pretty well.
Geno is higher grade in PF as the number one quarterback according to PFF. Right, Allen is 2, Mahomes is 3. But Allen and Mahomes are way better than anyone right now. And, this all happened because Mahomes took the mantle, after that 50 touchdown season, his first year starting, winning a Super Bowl. He probably has been a top 2 quarterback ever since that, waiting. Allen, 2020, it was kind of like he's a high tier 2, maybe a tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah, he was that fringe good.
21, he's proven that he is a tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
And then you would say, okay, the tier 1, Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this year, I know we're only 5 games in, but also what the playoffs happened last year as well, Allen is playing significantly better than both those quarterbacks.
Right. So it's really Allen and Mahomes'
and they've kind of like submitted themselves to their own tier, and now it's kind of like who is 3?
You've got the juggernaut and then tier 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's like
they've created their own subcategory.
It is like you could still, in my opinion, be considered a tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah, like a 1A, 1B. 1A is Mahomes and Allen, and then the 1B is everyone else.
1B is like the other 2 quarterbacks you think might be tier 1.
Yeah.
Like I think right now the third best quarterback in the league, as we say, is Lamar. Like
I'd have to agree points wise in the way he has been doing this season.
Lamar's probably played the third best, but the difference between like Lamar to Allen or Lamar to Mahomes, I think, is pretty big.
Yeah,
I think it's bigger than like Lamar to whoever you think is the 5th or 6th best quarterback.
No, and that's not a slight to Lamar. It's just like there are certain things that those two have done that he just hasn't yet, which he might still do. He's got an MVP though, so I mean,
I believe my second absolute fact of a thing, in my opinion, is Allen and Mahomes are so close to each other that the only reason why anyone ranks the other one ahead of each other is because of personal bias.
Exactly. And I'm gonna pull up.
But my thing is this: Chiefs fans are fans saying that Mahomes is far superior to Allen, or Bills fans who also say, Allen is far superior to Mahomes. I think they're incorrect. I think they're both really good quarterbacks, and you could take either one any day of the week. Obviously, I'm a Bills fan. I have some bias. I would take Allen over Mahomes, but it's not like it's an easy decision, even though Allen's my guy.
Yeah, no, this one, I want to read out a tweet here real fast. This one gentleman tweeted out, Josh Allen doesn't compare to Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. I'm sorry, Bills fans. And I said, the only difference between the two is the Super Bowl ring. Allen will be obtaining one this season. Got a little cocky there in that statement, I will say that. But I then say the divisional game was a testament to their abilities and their work they have put into their careers, respectively. No clear number one based on ability alone.
I would agree with that. I think the divisional game showed, both of them, threw for 300 yards, rushed for another 60 yards.
They were magicians out there just making plays happen half the time.
Combined for 7 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, playing quarterback at the highest level, maybe of any
All
game
time.
ever. So I think it shows that
they're the evolved version of Brady and Manning. Like, that's what everyone's been saying, but it's
they're
true.
the top 2 quarterbacks, and they're not. It's not now. Does Mahomes have a far superior resume to Allen's? Absolutely. Like, that's an object. You can make the objective fact that
he's got a Super Bowl ring.
You know, he's got a Super Bowl ring.
MVP.
He's got a Super Bowl MVP. He has a league MVP. He has a 5,000 yard, 50 touchdown season. He's been to hosted 4 straight AFC Championship games. He's been to a second Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He has beaten Allen twice in the postseason as a winning record against Allen. So, like, the resume of Mahomes is far superior than the resume of Allen. That's also is the career stats wise as well, but that's also because Mahomes has been, after sitting out his first year, except starting that last game against Denver, like, he's been consistently good. And Allen struggled.
Allen grew.
And then grew. So that's also tough. But again, the resume from Mahomes is way better than the resume of Allen.
Yeah.
But
on paper, they look very different, but in person, you can't deny
if
the
you're
fact.
taking a quarterback right now, it's close between those two because of talent alone. As you said, talent and production this year. We're not talking about what happened in 2019, 2020. We're talking about right
recently.
now.
Yeah. At this moment, present time, there's no clear differential between the two just based on talent alone.
And I think it's an objective fact right now. Also, in the 4 games they played each other, Mahomes outplayed Allen both times in 2020. Allen outplayed Mahomes in the regular season, and if you want to say they tied in the postseason, I'll give you that. I thought Allen actually outplayed Mahomes slightly in the postseason.
I would agree with that.
But Mahomes won. So if you want to say in their performance against each other that Mahomes leads Allen 2-1-1, I will say, you know what, you're right. But it's a new year. And
it's a new year.
We're going to see. I think both quarterbacks are great. I think.
No, this isn't a slight at Mahomes or anything.
I don't think it's a slight.
We're remaining very unbiased too. We're talking just.
It's not a slight against Mahomes, and it's not a slight against Allen to say these are the 2 best quarterbacks, and everyone else is fighting for third, and these 2 quarterbacks are 50-50 to each other.
And I think any NFL show or anything you listen to is going to say the exact same thing.
No, they won't. I completely disagree with that.
Well. Not any. Let's just say Nick Wright is not going to say that.
No, I don't even think it's Nick Wright. I agree that I think people would agree with my first fact of, like, those are the 2 best quarterbacks right now. Everyone's saying for third.
Saying they're equal is where they disagree.
I think people saying they're equal, people would disagree because then people would then use Mahomes' resume against Allen,
right?
Which is, again, like, it's factually correct. Like,
on paper, correct.
On paper, but if you're talking about
and on the field, it's
not hard. But if you're talking about right
they're
now,
dead even. Like, you know what I mean? They're one and the same.
I agree. All right, so continuing from our Mahomes Allen talk, I'm not gonna spend a second on Andy Reid and Sean McDermott being coaches together because we didn't do that last week of Tomlin, McDermott being teammates.
2 very good coaches going against each other. That's all you get.
2 good teammates, 2 good teammates, 2 good head coaches, 2 good coaching staffs going against each other on both sides of the ball.
That's all you're gonna get.
And let's talk about some X factors.
I think
who do you think is an X factor for the Bills?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this week they're going to be expecting a 4 touchdown performance from Davis after last week too. They're going to be expecting Stephon Diggs to be cutting around the field. I think Motorin is going to have a day. I think he's going to. We're going to have those big plays with those guys, right? But you're going to switch it up real fast and throw Motorin or James Cook around. I think the running game is going to be big, and I think Singletary is going to do what he did towards the end of last season and just cut him up. I think.
Well, I think I agree. The running game is going to be big because you saw what the Raiders did with Josh Jacobs. They really controlled the line of scrimmage.
And Jacobs, like I said on the Buffalonian earlier this week, you could argue is a faster version of Devin Singletary. So
sure, I think so. That's big. I think the running game is going to be big to have off balance. I would say an X factor offensively though will be Dawson Knox.
Yes,
he didn't play last week. I think that he has a little bit of a hamstring issue because he had a little ankle sprain. In an interview, he said something along the lines of, the Titans game, when he caught that one ball, and he went to the sideline, he like sprained his ankle a little bit, and then his hamstring, because of his
tightened up.
No, because of his he had a pressure off somewhat to the other leg, his hamstring.
Yeah, he was definitely compensating for his injury with his other leg, and then it just it tightened up on him.
So I think Knox is obviously the run game is important because of what the Raiders did, but I think Knox is a big factor because if you see what happened in that divisional playoff game, they took out Stephon Diggs, but they also made it like aware, made the defense aware that they didn't want Dawson. I mean, Dawson Knox went for 100 yards and a touchdown against the Chiefs in the regular season.
Right.
They didn't want that to happen in the postseason, so they also game planned to take him away, which then allowed for the running back like Singletary to get some, opportunities out of the backfield. Obviously, Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley had a couple, catches in the slot, so the slot receiver is going to be big too. So if Knox is healthy and able to go, it's just another weapon for Allen to use, and it's another weapon that the Chiefs had to prepare for.
Right. I'm glad that they played it safe resting guys last week, the Bills, because
they did load management in the NFL.
Yep.
Savage.
Yep. And they got these guys rested up and ready for this week. Now, Dom, we talked about a couple offensive guys for the X Factors. Do you have anyone on the defense that's an X Factor for you?
Yeah, the secondary.
Me too.
It's going to be that kind of game because the Chiefs have a very good offensive line. They did get
that. I was just about to say that. I think it might be the D line that could be the X Factor because their pressures. The not Oakland. Oh my gosh, Las Vegas. Yeah, I keep thinking Oakland whenever I think of Raiders, but Las Vegas broke through quite a few times and sacked them.
Well, I think Max Crosby's a stud, and he owned the right tackle.
Right. But do you think even having Groot and Von Miller and Ed Oliver in the game, along with Tim Settle?
Well, this is what's going to happen, pretty much. The interior offensive line of the Kansas City is very good. Trey Smith, their right guard's a little banged up. We'll see if he goes. Their right tackle is kind of average. So you think that's with Groot, that should be a mismatch. Mm-hmm. The left tackle, Orlando Brown, is a very good run blocker, but he struggles against speed pass rushing.
Which Von Miller is. He sheds him out to the outside and then just comes through. Yeah,
I think that should be a mismatch. And then also you have, Daquan Jones was the best player. I said this on the Buffalonian. He was also graded the best. PFF graded him at like a 90.8.
Yeah.
Like he was an absolute beast. So if you get more reps obviously it was good to see Ed Oliver be full in practice. If he can, produce, Daquan Jones produces, Tim Settle produces.
I think Ed Oliver is going to be hungry, though, because he hasn't really done anything crazy this season because of his injury. So I think he's hungry for some Mahomes. I think he's going to go after him.
No, I think that's going to be big. And then my X factor is the secondary because, Dane's a serviceable wide receiver, but this is DeMar Hamlin's first time going against Mahomes. Poyer's a little bit banged up. Kyrie Elam, can he bounce back? I think that's going to be a big storyline because the Chiefs obviously saw what the Steelers did with Elam, that he was breaking off so far up the field that they're able to get. I mean, Mahomes has been willing to, after struggles from last year, willing to nickel and dime you down the field. So I think that's going to be important. But again, what's important for the Bills too is they've consistently been able to, for the most part, take away your best option offensively.
Right.
They did it with Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Cooper Kupp they didn't do it with, but Cooper Kupp's a different breed.
Yeah. That was Elam on him too, or Taron Johnson.
It just whatever with that one. But Derrick Henry got shut down. Mm-hmm. They did a good job with Hill. They did a good job with the Ravens run game for the most part. Mark Andrews only had 2 catches, I believe.
You know what would be crazy? Bills run nickel zone all the time. Mm-hmm. Leslie Frazier just completely switches it up and throws a different defense out there.
No, they're not going to do that.
You don't think so?
They trust Taron Johnson as a linebacker. As a quote-unquote linebacker. He's a slot corner, but they trust him to play linebacker and run defense. But I think, the Chiefs' best player is, obviously other than Mahomes, their best weapon is Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And the Bills
Juju's nothing.
Juju's solid. They have solid options, but you have to, for the Bills, they had to take Kelce away and be like, we're gonna let you run the ball. We're gonna let Juju Smith-Schuster beat us. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. We are not gonna let Travis Kelce beat us. Mm-hmm. And it's different from years before because you'd be like, we're not gonna let Travis Kelce beat us. But then
Tyreek Hill.
No, you wouldn't have a safety over the top of Tyreek Hill. So then I was like, we can't let Tyreek Hill beat us. But then Travis Kelce would kill you underneath. So I guess that's a little bit of an X factor is too, is how are they gonna take it away the middle of the field of Kelce? Hopefully Edmonds can go. He's been a big part of that. And Milano. So those. I guess we're bleeding a little bit into from X factor into keys to success.
Yeah, so we can combine them.
But a key to success is stopping Travis Kelce, because if they can stop Kelce and make others beat you, they're not perfect receivers. They're gonna have some drops. They're gonna have some.
It's not. Yeah, you don't have Cheetah running down the field and getting ready for a deep ball anymore. And that's what I said when they got the Miami Dolphins acquired him. The Chiefs are going to be missing that against a secondary like ours, or you know what I mean, like that X factor for them. that now they don't have, and they have to rely on Kelsey, who we could stop now that we don't have to focus on that, like you said.
Well, it's still gonna be a difficult,
right? Because you see, even
task.
Vegas was for a little bit, and then something changed.
Vegas stopped him for 7 catches for 25 yards, but 4 of those 7 catches were
touchdowns. Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be hard. If defensively, if you could tell me if the D line does a good job putting constant pressure on Mahomes and keep him in the pocket, and Travis Kelce they could minimize his impact, I feel very confident about the Bills' defense. The Bills' offense, I just think they had to keep doing the things. The Chiefs, Chris Jones is probably playing. I think he's the highest grade defensive player according to PFF at like a 92. He's a beast. They got to be able to. Listen, the Bills have faced really good interior defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Donald, Jeffrey Simmons, last week of Cam Hayward. This is just another. They've been tested before, and they're gonna get tested again right here with Chris Jones. So if they could stop him and keep Allen clean and get a consistent run game, I like where they're going. This is the first. The Chiefs are actually the first team this year where the Bills aren't facing. Josh Allen is not facing an All-Pro defensive back.
Well, would you look at that?
Because Fitzpatrick at Steelers.
Yep.
Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters, I think, have been for the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they play week 3?
Dolphins.
Xavier Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Week 4, Kevin Byard, the safety for the Titans. Week 2, excuse me. Week 1, Jalen
Ramsey. Except I think he's absolutely fraudulent. But
no, he's playing pretty well, other than the Bills game. So those are keys to success. And then obviously injuries. It's nice to see everyone practice except Tyrone Jones has a knee and Jake Kumerow has an ankle. So Kumerow's probably going to be out until the bye, which is fine.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with Hodgins. I'm comfortable with Shakir right now.
Shakir, yeah.
Oh, Isaiah McKenzie, another. We talked about Trey White. Isaiah McKenzie cleared concussion protocol, so he should return as well.
Beautiful.
So you're gonna have, and then obviously a lot of limiteds with Knox, Poyer. Obviously Trey was limited, but he's not gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see that actually Oliver said full on his. So
yeah, no, that was really exciting for Oliver because that just adds, like I said, to the pass rush. When you have those Groot and Von Miller on the outside and him on the inside, it's going to be something special.
Well, it's going to be big because they're going to free him up, but it's a tough interior offensive line of the Chiefs, so they got to be able to keep Mahomes in the pocket and not get pushed down in the run game. But the Raiders did a pretty good job of showing that they can be dealt with at times.
Yeah,
so on both lines of scrimmages. If the Bills win the line of scrimmage on both sides, they should be fine.
Yeah.
So who do you think, we're talking for the Bills, who do you think is going to be the offensive MVP?
I think it's going to be, I don't really know if you can go any other way. I think it's going to be Allen.
I think it's going to be Allen too.
I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I mean, there's no other option in my opinion. He's known in tough games like that to be putting stuff on his shoulders, and I think he's going to have to do it again. So,
I agree.
I got to say Josh
Who do you
Allen.
have for the defensive side of the ball?
I think I got Oliver. You had him in. I'm staying on the front 4. Like that's where I'm staying. So
I will say Matt Milano.
That's also very.
I'll say the linebackers.
The linebackers.
The Chiefs do a lot of things to fool the eyes of the linebackers. So the linebackers, if Tremaine plays, he was limited, but I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
If Tremaine Milano have good eye discipline, they do solid run defense. They keep Kelsey from destroying them in the middle of the field. They tackle well. I think those two guys will be the co-defensive players of the evening.
I can definitely see that. I'm sticking with the front 4 and Oliver, but what do you think the score's going to be at the end of the day? At the end of the slugfest, what are you thinking?
I predict the Chiefs 35, the Bills 31.
You're predicting a loss.
I am predicting them to lose. Listen, I think Arrowhead is a tough place to play, and I think going into the year, none of us picked them to go 17-0. And I think if anyone would told you going into the bye, especially for all the injuries they faced, that they're going to go in the bye 4-2, I think you'd feel pretty good about that. So
I'm predicting.
Listen, it's going to be a close game. I believe that Mahomes and Reed are hard to beat in Arrowhead. It's a tough challenge. I think. Listen, they're going to keep it close. Again, am I going to be rooting for the Bills? Yes, but for the sake of the pod, I got to give a truthful pick, and I think the Chiefs pull this one out. But this is my thing. I think the Chiefs pull this one out. I still think the Bills are going to be the 1 seed though. Like I think the Bills will have a better record than the Chiefs.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And that AFC Championship game will be hosted in Buffalo against the Chiefs, in my opinion. But I think the Chiefs take this one.
I think it's going to be 34-31. I think the Bills have it by a field goal.
No, so you're taking the spread too.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yep.
That would make people upset. Listen, I fully. There's ways where it could be both our way. I think both our predictions are sound, and it could either go either way, in my opinion.
I think this is the most toss-up 50-50 game you can, like you said. If we weren't Bills fans, we wouldn't be betting it.
Well, this is the biggest toss-up because I think anyone would say the top 3 teams are the Bills, Eagles, Chiefs right now, and 2 of those teams are playing each other. So like, I think it's just a hard environment to win in, and it's hard to beat that team in Arrowhead. So. But listen, I think the Bills are going to give it all they have, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But I'm picking. We got to be honest. I'm picking the Chiefs.
All right, so we're locking it in. Dom, Chiefs. What's your score again?
35-31.
35-31. I'm picking the Bills 34-31.
And Mike predicts. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, Mike's not here. Sorry for the dead air we had there. But that is going to do it for the first segment of our Betting on the Bills podcast for this week. And we'll be right back with some picks after this. This edition of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the Source Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs, featuring shows such as Sports Bring People Together. Listen to entrepreneurial conversations with those in sports, could be players, agents, and so on. And who knows where the conversation will take you, but sports got us together in the first place. Find this show wherever you listen to podcasts or simply visit sportseplus.com. And now let's get back to the show. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast betting on the Bills, and we're going to get into our picks from this week or this past week and go into our picks for this upcoming weekend. So just, our results. Let's just go over them.
Three-way tie.
10-6. All of us over all 16 games last week. So not bad. Not bad.
All 3 of us get in the double digits. Mike finally breaks out of the...
Yeah.
Gets out of the,
over 500.
Well, I mean, he's still in the basement. But
yeah, he's still in the basement. Overall, still in the basement. Which, it brings us to the totals for this season. Dom and I still tied 50-29-1 with that ugly Colts and Texans game from week 1 being the tie. And Mike sitting at 41 wins, 38-1.
So he's still 9 games back, but Mike had a real opportunity. He picked the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Nearly was an opportunity to get a couple back. But
hey, all I'm saying is, I remember you laughed at me last week when I said I was taking the Giants over the Packers. And
yeah,
look at what happened.
You said you were going to pick the Giants, and then spent 30 seconds not saying a single good reason why you should pick the Giants.
I want the Giants. I was talking about Danny Dimes, and Coach Dable. I had nothing great to really prove the point, but look at what happened. That just shows you. You bet with me, that's it.
Yeah,
Game over. You win.
You get lucky with results.
Yeah, I bet the underdogs. Which brings us to this week. So, Don, why don't you kick us off here? Cowboys, Eagles.
So, I might not start with Cowboys, Eagles.
Oh, he's going to start with something different. Sorry.
That might be the best game. So,
we'll get back to
our slate of 5 games that we will select. I like that how we said the games we are going to do and then picked one by one. So, we got Cowboys, Eagles. We got Broncos, Chargers. We got Jets, Packers. We got Baltimore, New York Giants. Then we got the New England Patriots and the Cleveland Browns. So, the game that I'll pick, Broncos country. Let's ride. I'll pick the Broncos Chargers Monday night game. Kind of a shame that this is Monday Night Football. This is the 4th primetime game for the Broncos in the first 6 weeks of the year. I had to look at their schedule, but hopefully this is the last time they're on primetime.
Yeah. Let Russ cook. The stadium's burning down. He set the gas stove on fire. That's how bad it is.
It is pathetic. The Chargers are 5-point home favorites. And I will be jumping on that Chargers. And the Chargers to win and cover. Russ has some kind of shoulder injury that he had a procedure on.
Torn lat.
Is it?
It was a torn lat.
Whatever it is, it's listen.
Do you think it's just an excuse to excuse him from playing awful these past 4 weeks?
I don't think it's an excuse. I mean, when you're hurt, you're hurt. But
or is it just a media ploy?
I don't think.
I think it's a media ploy. I think it's a conspiracy.
I don't think it is, but I mean, it doesn't make me feel any better about the Broncos. So I think the Chargers getting a little bit healthier, coming off a real big win against Cleveland. They're 3-2. I think they want to continue to roll and try and get, rack up wins. And the Broncos to them right now are an inferior opponent, and you got to beat This is what's hurt Justin Herbert in his career and why Justin Herbert has an under 500 winning percentage is that you have to be able to beat teams that your team is better than. And it's a skill. It's a skill to do. So
do you think that's Brandon Staley or is that Herbert?
I think coaching has something to do with it for sure. But
yeah.
Herbert also, last year against the Texans, he sucked.
Yeah,
and he was the big reason why they lost that game and the big reason why they eventually didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
So, as much as I love Herbert, I think Herbert has a really good case with Lamar for being the third best quarterback in the NFL. But for me, it's pretty clear that the Chargers are the pick, and it's not really debatable for me. I don't know why anyone would want to take the Broncos, especially on the road.
Well,
against the Chargers.
It gets me into my pick here.
Are you picking the Broncos?
Broncos country. Let's hide. Bolt up, baby. We're going with the Chargers. We're going with the Chargers. There's no question for me here. Chargers on top. Russell Wilson, keep cooking in that kitchen and burning it down. Let Russ cook. Not true. He's awful this season at least. And I'm taking the Chargers. I had you there for a minute.
The only thing that would scare me for the Chargers is that the Broncos do like to run the ball, but I don't trust Melvin Gordon without fumbling.
Fumble king right there.
If they had Javonte Williams, I think this would actually be kind of an interesting play. But
right. I had you there for a minute, didn't I?
Yeah.
You said you taking the Broncos. I said Broncos country. You were ready. I
was going to be shocked when I was going to roast you, but congratulations for rebounding. But who knows? The Broncos would still win, but the Chargers to me are the superior pick.
Absolutely. I'm going to take us into the next game here, if that's okay with you.
Well, no, we're going back and forth. We don't have a third person. So.
And I'm going to go Pats versus Browns.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Patriots 2-3 in the AFC East, bottom seed right now in the division. And the Browns, Dookie Browns. Jacoby Brissett is their quarterback still. Deshaun won't be back until when? Week 11?
Week 13 because he suspended 11 games plus their bye.
Oh, there we go. Week 13. You heard it here first. And
I don't know if you heard it here first.
Maybe a recap first here. I don't know. But I'm taking the Patriots. Bailey Zapp, Tom Brady Jr. comes in for the hurt starting quarterback and has been playing very well. If he puts together a couple more good games, I would see him starting over Mac Jones.
Okay, I disagree with that.
You think?
Something with the Cooper Rush and Dak thing, but
I'm taking the Pats.
The Browns are 3-point home favorites, so that's basically telling you that Vegas finds these teams to be both equal, and the Browns cannot stop the run. It's just the Chargers, I believe, going into last week were the 32nd in rush offense, even with Austin Eckler, and Austin Eckler ran all over them.
Yeah, he went off.
They're a terrible tackling team. They have terrible defensive communication. I fully expect the Pats to be able to just run the ball at will against them. And I also think Jacoby Brissett against a Bill Belichick-led defense is a no-go. Also, Kevin Stefanski against Bill Belichick, I think that might be the biggest. That's a huge mismatch, in my opinion, coaching-wise.
Yeah.
So, again, the better coach is the Pats. And the weakness of the Browns is probably the number one strength of the Pats, and the Pats have a solid defense to stop. I think
the best defensive-minded head coach, arguably in the league.
And I think they're going to be able to stop at least slow down Nick Chubb in that running attack, make Jacoby Brissett win the game. When I don't think he'll be able to. So I think this is a pretty. Again, I think this is a straightforward pick for me.
You got the Pats?
I do got the Pats.
Okay, just making sure because before I mark it down.
No.
For the viewers
you can put that bad boy in pen.
All right. Pats versus Browns. Joe and Don both have the Pats.
Three games left. I'll pick an interesting game. I'll pick Baltimore at the New York Giants. Baltimore is a road 5.5 point favorite, and I'm taking Baltimore. I'm taking Baltimore in the points. I think Last week I took the Packers, but I would say the Giants would cover the spread. Fortunately, the Giants went outright, so I kind of was slightly right against the spread, but I was wrong with my game pick. This one I'm taking Baltimore in the points. I think this is the week where the Giants, all those injuries kind of do it for them. I think Baltimore is a legit team. I said it last week. I don't think the Packers should have been favored against anyone by the total they were. And listen, Baltimore. We talked about this just recently about Herbert and not be able to win against inferior opponents. That's Lamar eats inferior opponents for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Same thing with John Harbaugh. They destroy teams. They take care of business. They cover. I think this is a good matchup for Lamar and this defense that's kind of getting beat up a little bit through the pass, but they're very good against the run. And the Ravens' pass defense is very optimistic. opportunistic against Daniel Jones, who doesn't have healthy receivers. I think this is, and also the Giants coming back from London. The Giants are at home, and they 4-1 record. They're playing good for them. Well, good for them. But this is the week where they get trounced, when they get taught some respect.
I'll tell you what respect is. When the Baltimore Ravens leave that stadium with an L, the Giants, Danny Dimes, Big Boy Dable, the big your mom joke guy, apparently in the locker room, they come back again with a victory, with a dub. And you know what?
Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because he's Danny Dimes.
No.
And Saquon Barkley's going to run the ball all over Baltimore.
No, give me a real.
That is Saquon Barkley's going to take the game into his own
Saquon
hands.
Barkley against the solid Ravens front.
Yep, run outside. That's what Josh Allen did the entire game. Daniel Jones too. Couldn't stop
You
Josh
trust
Allen.
Daniel Jones?
Yep, this season, yeah.
You just said Lamar Jackson was the third best quarterback in the NFL.
And I think quarterback-wise, absolutely.
Okay, so why don't you
Team-wise.
Why don't you just the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC.
Listen. Just listen.
I am
They've
listening.
blown an easy game against Miami in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
They've blown a guaranteed win at the half against the Bills in the third quarter. They're going to do it again for the fourth week in a row.
Third time in a couple of weeks, dude.
And they lost to the Bengals that they had a lead.
They beat
on.
the Bengals,
or they beat the Bengals. Sorry,
they blew the lead, absolutely. But
they blew the lead. They had a commanding lead. They're a team that cannot
the
play
Bengals are
into
decent.
the third and fourth quarter. I think the Giants make their move then, start running the ball outside, sending Danny Dimes around, and I think a couple good plays are made, and the game gets close. Maybe they don't win, but I'm taking them.
You're taking the points.
I'm taking the Giants. No, I'm taking the Giants.
So they don't win, you lose.
Exactly. You know what? It's called gambling. You don't take the favorites every time, Dom. Look what happened to you last week.
I just took an underdog on the Patriots.
I know. I'm just saying. Last week's record on the pod is not looking good after taking all the favorites last week. The underdogs.
I didn't.
The underdogs win. Just hit my mic.
I didn't take all the
win.
favorites, and we finished the same record. So, besides the point, I mean, it's just absolute. Everything. I would just hope for everyone to tune out what Joe just said because he didn't. Listen, the Giants are a solid team, but they're a team that is 4-1, and they're overhyped based off their record. And they're gonna, when they play an actual team like the Ravens, Lamar is gonna throw. I would say Lamar throws 4 touchdowns by the end of the third quarter.
I think Danny Dimes in the fourth quarter throws 4 to bring it even.
Okay, we'll see, man.
I'm taking the Giants. All right. So let's move on to the next game here. Jets versus Packers. I'm going to take it. I'm going to start out right now. I'm taking the Jets. New Jersey football, I should say, owns the Packers for 2 weeks in a row. I'm taking the Jets.
Jets and the points?
Just the Jets.
Just the points?
What?
You're going to take the Jets to win outright?
Yeah, I'm having the Jets win outright. That's how confident I am. I don't need no points to save me. If the game's close.
I'll take the Jets points, but I'll take the Packers to win. I think the Packers are tough to win in Lambeau. I think that team is embarrassed. I think that defense that we all thought was going to be elite going into the year has not been, and it's close to time for complete panic mode. But I think they're a veteran-led team. I think they're going to be able to get to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson in 2 weeks has been the best quarterback when he's clean.
Mm-hmm.
He struggles when he's pressured. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks when he's pressured.
Right, but then Breece Hall makes up for that. Breece Hall had a game.
Listen, I think the Packers are going to be... I am concerned about Breece Hall and Michael Carter running all over the Packers defense. That's
why I'm picking the Jets outright to win.
But I would say this is going to be a close game. I would expect the Jets to cover, but I think this is kind of a little bit like the Packers game in Lambeau against the Pats. That I think the Packers find a way. I think this is their first week where they show a pulse. So I think the Jets are a team that's on a high. And I think they're somewhat like the Giants. They're getting overhyped based off, actually having a decent record for the first time forever. I think this is, again, they'll keep it close, but I got the Packers to win by a field goal.
All right. Respectable pick. I'm still taking the Jets outright. I think New Jersey football owns the Packers 2 weeks in a row. But, Dom, you want to lead us into our final game on the docket this week?
Cowboys-Eagles.
NFC matchup. Look at this.
The highest winning percentage teams going at it because Bills Chiefs are 4-1 versus 4-1, but this matchup is 4-1 versus 5-0, and I think this is a rather easy pick for myself. I'm gonna take the Eagles, and do I take the 6 points? Yeah, I'll take the 6 points. I think the Eagles have a very good offensive line. I think they'll be able to stymie the Dallas pass rush. And I think the Eagles... You know what? No, I'm going to switch my pick, actually. I'm talking it out to myself. I just remembered at the top of my head that the left tackle for the Eagles is actually, I don't think, going to be able to play. I just keep going over to myself. This is a tough matchup. I'm having a tough time.
Do you want me to go first? And you want to think
no,
about your pick?
I'm just thinking up. We're just kind of thinking blind here. I think this is a tough matchup. I definitely would say I would take the points for the Cowboys. I definitely would say I think it's 6 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely hop on that because I think it's going to be a close game. It's just kind of hard for me right now at this proper moment to pick a winner because I think I really don't trust either one of these offenses against each other because I think the Eagles have a good offense, but the Dallas has the number 1 defense in the league currently, or one of the top 3, I would say. And then I don't trust Cooper Rush against this Eagles secondary. So, you know what? I'll make this pick. I think the Cowboys cover, but I think the Eagles win because I trust Jalen Hurts more than Cooper Rush, and I trust A.J. Brown against the secondary more than the Cowboys wide receivers against Darius Slay and Bradbury.
I figured you were going to take the Eagles.
Although you
took the Cowboys points.
Listen. Out of the 5 games, I have taken one favorite outright, and then I have taken what? Two favorites outright, one underdog outright, and 2 underdogs to cover.
All right, well, I'm going outright again on this one. And I think Cooper Rush takes Jalen Hurts' jersey after the game and puts it in the blender, starts it on fire, and throws it in a dumpster, starts a dumpster fire in Philadelphia. Because Cooper Rush is 4-0.
I do not listen.
Every game he's played and they've won. They've played good football. There's a McCarthy and Rush connection happening in Dallas. Every time Dallas tries out a ginger quarterback, Andy Dalton, didn't work out. But look at Cooper Rush, the ginger, comes in. Look at him. Great. He's taking Dak's job, I think. I wish. I hope. Even though I hate Jerry Jones and everything he stands for, I'm taking Cooper Rush and the Cowboys outright. Jalen Hurts crumbles.
Why?
Crumbles.
Why?
Because
you just went on a 30-second soliloquy of Jalen Hurts' jersey getting melted in blender, all this ginger quarterback stuff. You hate Jerry Jones, but you haven't said one fact of why the Cowboys will beat the Eagles.
Tony P. Backup running back. Ezekiel Elliott should retire.
Yeah, guess what? They're going to still feed Zeke at 22 carries last week.
Yeah.
Tony P only at 9.
Ground game's going to kill Philadelphia.
The Eagles have a good defensive line. They have a good defense.
I still think they're going to get
They're one
cut
of the
up.
best teams overall in the entire league.
You know what?
You're gonna trust AJ? Who would you rather have, AJ Brown or
Dalton Schultz?
Trevor Diggs?
Huh?
Did you say Dalton Schultz?
Yeah, they have a good tight end. They have everything.
The Eagles have Dallas Goedert.
They have Schultz.
Dallas Goedert's the same level as Dalton Schultz.
Exactly. So look at that.
That's not a win for the Cowboys.
I'm taking the win for the Cowboys. And you know what? Mr. 1-5 from last week on the pod.
I don't care what my record.
I don't want to hear it.
You could trash talk my record all you want. You've made terrible takes the last 2 weeks. You got lucky last week.
It's not luck.
No, yes, it is.
It's knowledge.
It is. No, it's not. It is luck.
As good as the Eagles have looked in their 5-0, no one saw them being 5-0. I still think
everyone thought they were going to be good.
Its day. Every team has its day.
That doesn't. Okay, it's not a. That doesn't.
I'm going off of the luck. Maybe I'm not going off of statistics straight up.
Why the heck?
The on-paper matchup.
Why?
I'm taking the Cowboys outright. That's just what's happening.
So what you're just telling the listener, excuse me.
I like the Cooper Rush connection in Dallas.
What you're just telling the viewer is that when we start the segment, they should just turn on the segment and just see the games and just pick with their gut.
Exactly. That's what gambling is. If you have a hunch, if you have a feeling, I'm going with my gut.
Please tell me.
I don't care. My picks are my picks. I don't care. I don't care.
Listen, your picks are your picks, but
we're not supposed to be giving advice to people. We're supposed to be giving our picks and giving the records of our picks.
No, we're supposed to help. People might listen to us and be swayed by our picks. But you're not swaying anyone by your picks because you're just saying, oh, luck. What?
Most of them hit.
It doesn't mean just because your outcomes are good doesn't mean your thought process is good.
So what? Anyone can have their own thought process. Someone wakes up and has an itch on their stomach. Oh man, that means I'm taking the Giants today. That's like a suspicious thing.
What?
Yeah.
But
people think, oh, I put a purple shirt on today, so that's a Ravens bet. Like that's just, it's not necessarily all statistics based. Gambling is by the gut. what you think. It's not all statistics based.
But why
So
would-
what I have a baseless claim about the Giants absolutely demolishing the Ravens.
So wait, if you wake up and you think the Jets are going to win the division because they're 3-2.
I bet on them. Not for the division. That's outlandish. I'm talking game by game. A divisional bet, that's different. Or winning the conference. That's big. That's a whole season bet. I'm talking game by game. Any given Sunday. That's all I can say. Any given Sunday.
You keep calling up these metaphors.
Any given Sunday. That's not a metaphor.
Of course, that's fact. Any given Sunday is an absolute fact.
Right. So any given Sunday, the Giants could
But
beat
you
the
could point that
Ravens.
up any pick you make. That doesn't mean it's a good pick.
Exactly. And I can pick what I want. I don't have to pick based on what on paper best pick is.
Honest to God, I don't care that you pick the Giants. I'm not saying that's even a bad pick. What I'm saying is a bad pick is your thought process. Doesn't make any sense to me.
My thought process is my thought process, and it makes sense to me, and it has gotten the same record outcome that you have. So there's no reason that I shouldn't rock with it right now.
And we'll see. So all I gotta say is, I disagree, but we'll see.
All right, Dom will be going 0-6 next week, and I will be 6-0, and we'll be coming back at you Tuesday with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Kelly. Dom, how do you always end these?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.